Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be taking a look at edge computing.
Edge computing.
Yeah, edge computing. And we've got a really interesting set of articles and research papers and stuff.
No, it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun, and it's a topic that I think is really, really relevant right now,
Absolutely.
especially with, all of the buzz around AI and the metaverse and all this stuff that requires, massive amounts of data processing.
Yeah, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting, one of our listeners actually wrote in and had a comment that I thought was really insightful. They were talking about how edge computing in some ways seems similar to like the old client-server model.
Oh, yeah, like back in the day.
Yeah, like back when everything was on premises.
Right, when you had like, a server in the closet down the hall.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
our listener is really astute because there are some definite similarities.
Yeah. Is our listener onto something here? Yeah, for sure. I mean, both models involve processing data locally,
Right?
right? So you're not sending everything up to the cloud and back, which means things happen a lot faster.
Right, so reduce latency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reduce latency. That's the key.
Yeah.
But edge computing takes that concept and kind of runs with it.
So it's like client-server on steroids or something.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like comparing, a horse and buggy to a self-driving car. They both get you from point A to point B, but the technology underneath is completely different.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So let's break this down a little bit for our listeners. How exactly does edge computing differ from that old school client-server setup?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine you're using a navigation app on your phone, right? With edge computing, your phone can actually use its own GPS and processing power to figure out your route, even if you lose your internet connection.
Oh, wow.
It's like having a mini data center right there in your pocket.
So instead of sending all that data back and forth to some giant server farm miles away, it's all happening right there on your device.
That's why edge computing is so much faster and more responsive.
Okay, this is starting to make sense, but what about the cloud? I mean, we hear so much about cloud computing these days. Are they like rivals or do they work together?
It's more of a tag team situation, actually.
A dynamic duo.
Yeah, they complement each other really well.
Mm-hmm.
The cloud is still fantastic for storing massive amounts of data and doing those really heavy-duty computations.
Right.
But edge computing is perfect for those tasks that need, like, instant results.
Gotcha. So it's like each one has its own strengths.
Exactly. It's about using the right tool for the job.
I like that analogy. Okay, so you've painted a pretty compelling picture here, but you know me, I always want to know that. So how is this actually changing the world?
Well, buckle up, because this is a big one. By 2025, experts are predicting that a whopping 75% of all business data will be processed at the edge.
75%? That's insane.
It's a massive shift, and it means that pretty much every industry is going to be touched by this technology.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? Give me some examples.
Okay, so imagine a world where self-driving cars can react instantly to avoid accidents,
Wow.
where factories can predict equipment failures before they even happen.
That would save so much money.
Right, and where doctors can remotely monitor patients' vital signs in real time.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here. This is huge.
It is, and it's just the beginning.
So we've talked about what edge computing can do, but I think we need to take a step back and make sure everyone understands exactly what it is.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get back to basics.
So in a nutshell, what is edge computing?
Well, the simplest way to explain it is that it's all about bringing processing power closer to where the data is generated.
Okay.
So instead of relying on a central cloud server, edge computing uses a network of devices and local servers to process information right at the source.
So it's not just about speed, it's about decentralization too.
Exactly. It's like having a network of mini brains working together instead of relying on one giant central brain.
I like that analogy. It makes it much easier to understand.
And that distributed approach is what makes edge computing so powerful and so versatile.
Okay, this is all making a lot more sense now. So we've got the what and the why, but what about the how?
Ah, yes, the how.
How does edge computing actually work?
Well, it all starts with those edge devices. Things like smartphones and smartwatches and sensors and all sorts of other gadgets that are collecting data.
Right, we're surrounded by these things.
Exactly. And these devices, they have their own little processors and storage, and they can do some basic processing right there on the spot.
Okay, so they're not just dumb data collectors. They can actually think for themselves a little bit.
Exactly. And then if they need more processing power, they can connect to a local server or a gateway, which is basically like a mini data center that's closer to the action.
So it's like a chain of command. Data gets collected at the edge, then it goes to the local server, and if needed, it goes up to the cloud.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, it's a hierarchy of processing power.
And this whole system, it's designed to be super efficient and scalable, right?
Absolutely. And that's where things get really interesting because as we get more and more devices online and as the amount of data we generate continues to explode, well, we need a way to manage all of that complexity.
Right. It's like trying to herd a bunch of cats.
Exactly. And that's where things like cloud-like management tools come in.
Oh, so it's like the cloud is reaching down to help manage the edge.
You get these tools, they allow us to monitor the health of the network, push out software updates, and even spot potential problems before they become major headaches.
Okay, so it's like having an air traffic control system for all those edge devices.
Precisely. And as edge computing continues to evolve, those management tools are going to become even more sophisticated.
So it sounds like edge computing is this really complex ecosystem with lots of moving parts.
It is, but it's also incredibly powerful, and it has the potential to revolutionize the way we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm officially an edge computing enthusiast.
Welcome to the club.
But before we get too carried away, I think we need to talk about the potential downsides of this technology.
You're right, every rose has its thorns.
And with edge computing, those thorns come in the form of things like security and privacy.
Exactly. Those are big concerns, and we need to make sure that we're addressing them head on.
So let's dive into those thorny issues next.
Let's do it.
Stay tuned, folks. We're just getting started.
This is going to be good. And when we talk about those thorny issues, one area where they really come into play is with AI.
Oh, yeah. AI is like the hottest topic in tech these days. But how does edge computing make it even more powerful, I guess is the question.
Well, think about it this way. Instead of just tracking your steps, your smartwatch could actually be analyzing your heart rate, your sleep patterns, your activity levels, and then using all of that data to give you like personalized health recommendations.
So it's like having a tiny little doctor right there on your wrist.
Exactly. It's AI at the edge, and it's all happening in real time.
That's pretty amazing and a little bit creepy at the same time.
Yeah, there's definitely a trade-off there. But think about the possibilities. We could have smart home energy management systems that learn your habits and automatically adjust things like lighting and temperature to save you money and reduce your carbon footprint.
Okay, now you're talking my language, saving money, and the planet at the same time. Sign me up.
Right. It's a win-win.
But with all this data being processed at the edge, I gotta ask, doesn't that raise some serious security concerns?
It absolutely does. I mean, we're talking about sensitive data being processed on a whole network of devices. It's like hacker's dream come true.
Okay, so how do we make sure that all that data is protected?
Well, thankfully, there are some pretty clever solutions being developed. One thing that's really promising is something called secure enclaves.
Secure enclaves? What are those?
So basically, they're like these little super safe vaults right into your devices.
So it's like having a digital fortress protecting all that important information.
Exactly. It makes it way harder for hackers to get their hands on your data.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But what about encryption? Is that still important in the world of edge computing?
Absolutely. Encryption is still a key part of the security puzzle. It's like scrambling your data so that only the intended recipient can read it.
So it's like sending secret messages.
Exactly. And that helps to protect your data even if it does get intercepted.
Okay, so we've got these secure enclaves and encryption. But what happens if something goes wrong with one of those edge devices? I mean, they're not invincible, right?
That's true. They're not. But the good news is that we're also seeing the development of some pretty sophisticated cloud-like management tools for edge computing.
So it's like having an air traffic control system for all those edge devices.
You got it. These tools can monitor the health of the network, push out software updates, and even spot potential problems before they become major headaches.
So it's like preventative maintenance for the edge.
Exactly. It helps to keep everything running smoothly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to take a step back for a minute and talk about the big picture. What's the ultimate vision for edge computing? I mean, where is all of this headed?
Well, I think the ultimate vision is a world where technology is seamlessly integrated into every aspect of our lives, but in a way that empowers us, not overwhelms us.
So it's not about the machines taking over, it's about the machines helping us to live better lives.
Exactly. It's about using technology to solve real-world problems and make our lives easier and more fulfilling.
Okay, I like that vision, but realistically, how far away are we from that kind of future?
I think we're closer than you might think. I mean, some of these applications are already happening today, and the pace of innovation is only accelerating.
So it's like we're on the cusp of something really big.
I think so, and one of the things that's going to really drive this forward is 5G.
Oh yeah, 5G, those super fast networks that everyone's been talking about.
Exactly. 5G is going to be a game changer for edge computing because it provides the bandwidth and the low latency that we need for all of these amazing applications.
So it's like 5G is the fuel that's going to power the edge computing rocket ship.
That's a great analogy. With 5G, we're going to see even more seamless integration of edge devices, faster data processing, and more responsive applications.
So it's not just about faster downloads on your phone, it's about a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. And it's all thanks to the power of edge computing.
Okay, I'm officially on board with this edge computing revolution. But before we get too carried away, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, AI.
Ah, yes. AI at the edge.
I'm really curious to dive deeper into that. What other amazing things can AI do when it's powered by edge computing?
Well, the possibilities are pretty much endless, but one area where I think we're going to see some really incredible advancements is in healthcare.
Oh yeah, how so?
Imagine doctors being able to use AI-powered tools to diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately.
That would be a game changer for so many people.
Right. And it's not just about diagnosis, it's also about treatment. AI could help doctors to develop personalized treatment plans that are tailored to each patient's individual needs.
So it's like having a virtual medical expert working alongside your doctor.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. AI at the edge could also be used to monitor patients remotely, provide real-time feedback during surgery, and even develop new drugs and therapies.
Wow, this is really starting to sound like science fiction.
I know, it's pretty mind-blowing, and it's all thanks to the power of edge computing.
Okay, I'm officially sold on the potential of AI at the edge. But let's be realistic here. There must be some challenges that need to be overcome to make all of this a reality.
Of course. There are always challenges with any new technology,
Mm.
but I think one of the biggest ones when it comes to edge computing is interoperability.
Interoperability. That's a big word. What does it mean?
Basically, it means making sure that all these different edge devices can talk to each other and share data seamlessly.
Ah, so it's like the United Nations of edge devices.
That's a good way to put it. We need to make sure that everyone is speaking the same language, so to speak.
Otherwise, it's just a bunch of devices shouting at each other in different languages and nobody understands what's going on.
Exactly. And the good news is that there are already a lot of smart people working on this problem, developing industry standards and protocols to ensure that edge devices can work together harmoniously.
So it's like creating a universal translator for edge devices.
Exactly. And once we have that universal translator in place, the possibilities are truly endless.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. But you know me, I always like to play devil's advocate. What about the ethical considerations of all this? I mean, as edge computing becomes more powerful and pervasive, are there any potential downsides that we need to be thinking about?
Absolutely. That's a really important point, and it's something that we need to be talking about more. As with any powerful technology, there's always the potential for misuse.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest ethical challenges we're going to face with edge computing is data privacy.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a concern. I mean, we're talking about collecting and processing vast amounts of data about people's lives.
Right. And if that data falls into the wrong hands, it could be used for all sorts of nefarious purposes.
So we need to make sure that there are strong safeguards in place to protect people's privacy.
Absolutely. We need to have clear rules about who has access to this data, how it can be used, and how it can be shared.
And it's not just about protecting people from malicious actors, it's also about protecting them from themselves, right? I mean, we've all heard those stories about people accidentally posting embarrassing photos or videos online.
Exactly. And with edge computing, those kinds of mistakes could have even bigger consequences because the data is being processed and shared so quickly.
So we need to educate people about the risks and help them to make informed decisions about their data.
Or absolutely. We need to empower people to take control of their own data and make sure that it's being used in a way that they're comfortable with.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed here. This is a lot to think about.
I know it can be a bit daunting, but I think it's important to remember that edge computing is still a relatively new technology, and we're still figuring out all the implications.
So it's like we're pioneers exploring a new frontier.
Exactly. And as with any new frontier, there are going to be challenges and risks, but there are also going to be incredible opportunities.
Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the one key message that you want our listeners to take away?
I think the most important thing to remember is that edge computing is a powerful tool that has the potential to transform our world for the better. but it's up to us to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
That's a powerful message, and it's something that we should all be thinking about as we move into this new era of edge computing. Okay, so we're back, and I feel like we're kind of standing at this crossroads with edge computing, all this amazing potential, but also some real concerns about how it could be
Yeah,
misused.
it's like a powerful engine. We've got to make sure we're steering it in the right direction.
Exactly. And speaking of steering in the right direction, we were talking about data privacy right before the break, and it seems like that's one of the biggest ethical challenges with edge computing.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We're talking about collecting and processing massive amounts of data about people's lives, their habits, their
Mhm.
movements, even their health information.
It's like Big Brother on steroids.
Yeah, it could be. And if that data falls into the wrong hands, it could be used for all sorts of things that people never consented to.
Like targeted advertising or even identity theft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even worse, discrimination or manipulation. I mean, the possibilities are pretty scary when you think about it.
So how do we prevent that from happening? I mean, is there any way to ensure that edge computing is used ethically?
Well, I think it starts with transparency.
Sure.
Companies that are collecting this data need to be upfront about what they're collecting, why they're collecting it, who they're sharing it with.
So no more of those super long privacy policies that nobody actually reads.
Yeah, exactly. Those need to be clear and concise and easy to understand.
And it's not just about the companies, it's about us too, right?
Right.
We need to be more aware of the data that we're sharing and make informed choices about the devices and services that we use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to be more data literate and take an active role in protecting our own privacy.
So it's a two-way street. Companies need to be responsible and we need to be informed.
Exactly. We need to work together to create a system that benefits everyone.
Okay, so data privacy is a big one. But what about jobs? I mean, we're already seeing automation replacing human workers in a lot of industries. Is edge computing going to make that even worse?
Well, that's a complex issue, and there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that technology has always disrupted the job market.
Yeah, think about the Industrial Revolution or the rise of the internet.
Exactly. Those were both periods of massive technological change, and they both led to some job displacement, but they also created new opportunities.
So it's not about eliminating jobs, it's about changing the types of jobs that are in demand.
Right, and I think the same thing's going to happen with edge computing. We're going to see a shift towards jobs that require more specialized skills, things like data analytics, cybersecurity, AI development.
So it's like the saying goes, the only constant is change.
Exactly. And with edge computing, that change is happening faster than ever before.
So what advice would you give to someone who's worried about their job being automated?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be adaptable and to embrace lifelong learning.
So be a student of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Stay curious, keep learning new skills, and be willing to adapt to the changing demands of the job market.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential downsides of edge computing, but let's end on a positive note. What's the most exciting thing about this technology, in your opinion?
Oh man, there are so many exciting things. But I think for me, the most exciting thing is the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Oh, yeah, how so?
Well, think about it. Edge computing can help us to create smarter cities, more efficient transportation systems, more sustainable energy grids, even better healthcare.
So it's not just about making our lives more convenient, it's about making the world a better place.
Exactly, and that's what gets me really excited about edge computing.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Edge computing is a powerful tool that has the potential to do a lot of good in the world, but it's up to us to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the risks, but also embrace the possibilities.
And as we've explored in this deep dive, those possibilities are pretty much endless.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive.
It really is. Well, that's it for our deep dive into edge computing. I hope you all learned something new and that you're as excited about the future of this technology as we are.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation.
And a huge thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.